real-time intelligence, but I've been around long enough to know that it takes time to assess all the information that you have. And as the intelligence community has now said, their assessment over the last now more than a month changed. So the fog of war, the confusion that you get in any kind of combat situation, and remember, this was an attack that went on for hours. You know, our post was overrun by a significant number of armed men.
Let's start with Charles. You've heard what Secretary Clinton said. You've heard what Robert Gibbs and the Obama campaign have said. What about this day, Charles?
Well, what the Secretary had just said in that explanation is clearly implausible. If this, the changing stories were a result of accumulating information which brought clarity, then you would have had a straight line of more and more truth in the statements, sort of a cleaning up of the mistakes. But in fact, as you showed in the timeline that you did last week and the week before, they went here and there and back and forth, completely uncoordinated, and as late as 2-3 weeks later, they were giving incorrect attacks. Now, having the Secretary of State to fall on her sword for the President works for one of the two scandals. It works perhaps for the scandal revolving around the lack of security in a very exposed embassy in a dangerous area where al-Qaeda was on the rise. It's plausible that the White House wasn't aware, although I'm not sure it's probable. But on the second scandal of the cover-up and the stories and the fictions about the mob and the demonstration which never existed, that does not in any way insulate the President. Not only is he not outside of this story, he was part of the cover-up. He was the one who said at the UN a week later, who made 6 references to the video in denouncing it. He was the one who 2 weeks later was on Letterman and spoke about the attack in Libya in the context and as a result of the video. So there's no way he gets out of that scandal, no matter what the Secretary of State itself, because he's a principal in that cover-up.
Hilary Clinton, the candidate back in 2008, said something very different about foreign policy. Take a listen quickly.
This is one of the most important elections in our country's history. I believe we need a president who believed what Harry Truman believed, that the buck stopped in the Oval Office. I will do what I can to run the government and manage the economy, because I think we need a president who is hands-on, not hands-off.
We're back with the panel. Charles Krauthammer in Washington with a wrap-up of the Libya conversation. Charles?
2 quick points. Number one, the President may be insulated by what Hillary has done, but it sure doesn't enhance his position as a leader to let someone else take the fall. Second, the buck stops also with the media. This Hillary action takes the heat off only one aspect of the scandal. The media had to be shamed by Fox into looking into this in the first place. The other questions about the cover-up remain open. Let's see if the media continue to pursue it the way they would if there were a Republican in the White House.
But Charles, final thoughts of this debate tonight.
What a debate. In one corner a robot, in the other a cold fish. For Obama, the bar is rather low compared to the first debate. All he has to do is string a few sentences together coherently, make eye contact with a single sentient human, and show the slightest animation in his face. I think he can do that, and he'll be ahead of where he was, and he might even win on that basis alone.
Yes. We knew we could count on a closing remark from Charles.
This has been a Sunfish production.